Mostly everyone plays Pokemon for fun. Me, I decided to suffer. Today we're playing Pokemon Ultra Moon, but I can only use Pokemon that appear 5% of the time or lower. I also threw in some hardcore Nuzlocke rules like no healing, no ever leveling, and if someone faints, well, that's it, and a few more rules that I'll explain along the way. So can I beat a Pokemon Ultra Moon hardcore Nuzlocke? Let's find out. We begin our adventure in our home in Howell Outskirts, and why are we wearing shoes in our bed? I watch as these sparrows get absolutely rocked and begin the search for our first encounter. One of the limitations, as the intro and title suggest, is I can only use Pokemon that are found 5% of the time or lower. That includes their evolution line. For example, Salamence has a 1% SOS encounter rate, which is dope, but Bagon and Shelgon both have a 10% encounter rate. And after 100 encounters, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, I was getting very annoyed that my first encounter hasn't appeared yet. Turns out, Cerebi has the wrong grass listed for this encounter. And after watching a John Stone Pichu encounter video from over 7 years ago, I scooch over to the correct grass, and in just 20 encounters, I find John Stone. I knew I could always trust a fellow John. And after running the equivalent of 17 marathons, I max out John's happiness and evolved into Pikachu. Our struggles in this run started early, particularly against Lima Beam. He beat me 6 freaking times. At this point, I was really only wanting to use Pikachu. I did not want to rely on one of this gen's starters. And wouldn't you know it, in this city is conveniently the TM for Echoed Voice. This move is amazing because on each consecutive hit, the damage doubles, capping out at 200 power. We win the fight now with no sweat and continue on. I get the best item to ever exist in Citrus Berries and begin the fight with the first totem. I begin by having John use Charm to cripple the rat, as all he does is lower our speed. He calls in a Rattata, and as he takes a bite out of John, we get static to go off. And our luck doesn't end there because we actually get it to go off again on the Rattata. We unfortunately flinch from that bite, but now we're faster. So I shoot an Electro Ball, and he lives on super low HP as Raticate uses another Scary Face. Rattata brings us into Citrus Berry range, and it's time to finish this. I take out Rattata with Echoed Voice, as Raticate is just obsessed with John's speed stat. Bites don't do very much damage thanks to the earlier charm, and we're able to take him out, winning us our first totem fight. Not even close. Here also comes the realization that with just John, I am most certainly not going to beat Mr. Kahuna Man. So I give in and add Vintendo to the squad. His lead Machop versus John. A charm makes his arms jello as a revenge tickles us. And we get our static proc. He uses his full heal as Crit Echoed Voice does like 2 damage. Another one takes him close to half as he uses Focus Energy, and we get him close to the red, and thankfully his revenge doesn't crit, allowing us to heal with our Oranberry. The damage is ramping up with Echoed Voice, so after he heals, he goes down to a couple more. Makuhita comes in, and we have just enough HP to survive the fake out. I figured he would attack here, but in haste, I accidentally clicked Charm. Luckily, he just goes for Sand Attack. I actually have no clue why he would do that. I then Charm again on purpose this time, and he Sand Attacks again? Okay. We get to the point where his arms lack any sort of bone mass, and John just had a bad day at the beach. And finally switch into Vintendo, taking him out with a couple of pecks. Last out is his Ace Crabrawler. My plan for this was to spam peck to get him low, then as we're in overgrow range, fire off a boosted Razor Leaf, taking him out, winning us our first island trial. That battle was definitely too close for comfort. The battle against Callus' Cena went easy since now we had the TM for Brick Break, and on Route 4, after only 8 encounters, we find Asteroid, the Eevee. And yes, sometime into the run, I find out that there was a gift Eevee that you could just get at the ranch. So yeah, my bad, I'll do better. But not for this run, because this game is hard. John, you're home! We find a magnet, beat up Gladion, and evolve Eevee into Sylveon. Time for the second totem fight. And this guy is really strong for this point in the game. I mean, these stats aren't the highest, but with +1 to speed and an infinite rain, this fight feels like it can be a struggle. Regardless, we lead with John and slow him down with a Thunder Wave as a bubble brings us to 12 HP. And I realized I didn't even give John a berry. Araquanid calls in Dupe Biter, and I send in Vinny to soak up a couple of bubbles. The following turn, a single peck takes out his partner as Vinny barely hangs on with 4 HP after that Aurora Beam. He heals back some, but it's time to switch. I send in my final healthy Pokemon Asteroid, and Araquanid finally stays fully paralyzed. I use Work Up way too many times, and take out the totem with a couple of Draining Kisses, and one-shotting the remaining SOS partner, winning us the second totem battle. At the base of Well of Volcano, in just 8 encounters, we find Eevee, the Kangaskhan. I gathered a few TMs in Reflect and Rain Dance. With this totem fight, since you don't get a chance to heal between the fights leading up to him, I had to just hope my team didn't take too much damage. Time for the fire totem. Now, he has Detect and Flame Wheel. I don't have a clue which one he's gonna go for, so to play it safe, I just set up with Rain Dance as he detects. That was the best case scenario, I would think. He calls in his partner Sexy Lizard, and the following turn, I lower his attack with a charm as Salazzle just uses Venoshock to get us into berry range. Marowak whacks us with a Karate Chop, leaving us with 10 HP, but we get a static proc. I value John's life, so I switch into Eevee to eat the incoming attacks. Here I was bold to assume that Marowak would not attack, and it paid off. We bring the Salazzle to almost half with a fake out, and the following turn she just uses Torment, allowing for a Rock Tomb to take her out. And Marowak stays fully paralyzed. I couldn't use Rock Tomb thanks to Torment, so I used Thief that we got from TM, and wouldn't you know it, he was holding a Thick Club. That was huge, because the incoming Brick Break did nothing. He attempts to delay the inevitable with the text, but it doesn't matter. We finish him off, winning us the totem battle. Continuing on to the Grass Totem. And this fight was a disaster. Leading with John is not ideal here, so I switch into Vinny on a Solar Blade that doesn't do very much damage, and Lurantis calls in Kecleon. The following turn, I send an Asteroid who eats an X-Scissor and a Dizzy Punch. Lurantis then proceeds to charge up Solar Blade as Asteroid puts up a Reflect, and Kecleon sets up the dreaded Sun. The Solar Blade brings Asteroid to 16 HP, and after Citrus Berry healing, we use Draining Kiss on Kecleon, turning her into a Fairy type and avoiding the Screech. A Solar Blade the next turn brings us low as we heal a bit more with Draining Kiss. With Asteroid stupid low and having his defenses weaken, I've got a dip. Vinny comes in and eats the incoming attacks and fires off a peck that chips Kecleon a bit more as she lowers our defense again. The Sun fades, as does our Reflect, and we're looking very rough. This Lurantis is still at full HP, and my team is definitely not vibing with that. I switch in Eevee, who like everyone, eats a couple of attacks. A fake out gets Kecleon really low as Lurantis charges up her Solar Blade, and the following turn we survive the damage and finally take out the Kecleon with a Thief. Vinny comes in as she charges, and we finally get some damage off with an Ominous Wind. Honestly, I don't know why I thought that'd do a lot more. We eat the X-Scissor and hit her with a peck to do some more chip, and I decide to switch again, this time into John, to hope for a static proc from Contact. We don't get it. As she charges up her Solar Blade, I'm finally able to lower her attack, able to paralyze her with a Thunder Wave, and Asteroid on the Switch is able to have his Q charm activated. In the end, we lost Vinny to a Magical Leaf, and Eevee, after hitting a clutch Rock Tomb, goes down to a low sweep. That Rock Tomb, however, was ridiculously clutch, because even paralyzed, we still didn't outspeed the Lurantis without that speed drop. And she would do exactly 2 damage to us with a low sweep. But thankfully, we do outspeed and are able to kiss her to death after a few workups, winning us the Grass Totem fight and absolutely ruining our odds at the remainder of this run. After exiting the Diglett Cave, we encounter the Goat, who gives us a Thunderstone, and we're finally able to evolve John. Olivia isn't that much of an issue. Look, I'm so sorry to be using setup moves, but now I'm only at 2 Pokemon remaining, and I really gotta do what I gotta do, man. We win the island trial and move on. We beat up on Hao, and after climbing up Ula Ula Mountain, we begin our next totem fight. The beginning portion of this battle consists of me crippling both Skarmory and Togedemaru with charms, and after a few psychics, Skarmory goes down. On the switch in, Asteroid is able to eat the Zing Zap, and we thankfully don't flinch and are able to get off a Reflect. We avoid 3 flinches and are able to work up a few times and do about a third. I need more damage, so after one last workup, we get him into berry range, and he makes the single worst mistake of his little Togedemaru life and calls in Dedenne. He then uses Spiky Shield as if I'm even remotely looking in his direction. And after the Super Fang, Asteroid is able to smooch the life out of this little mouse, healing him to almost full. Asteroid is in a perfect position, and after a few more attacks, we take him out, winning us the Electric Totem fight. Without workup, I would have had to restart a long time ago. The battle against Guzma was surprisingly not the hardest fight to date. He leads with Golisopod and I send an Asteroid. I only set up with 1 workup, be proud of me, as we tank a Razor Shell. The following turn, a Draining Kiss does about a third before getting us down to 26 HP. One more Draining Kiss activates his emergency exit and in comes Masquerade. We're decently healthy, so I stay in, survive an air slash, and heal back some with a Draining Kiss. Given no crit, we tank one more, barely, and get him into the yellow. I switch in John to eat the incoming air slash and finally take him out with a spark. Back in is Golisopod, and we just stall him out of sucker punches and are able to take him out with a spark. I can really see this guy being a problem in the future. Regardless, we win the battle and he crashes out. Now it's time for the Ghost Totem Mimikyu. And yeah, there's no way around this guy, period. He gets an Omni Boost, ruining everything because now he outspeeds John. He has almost perfect coverage, and with his disguise ability allowing him to get a free turn to do whatever he wants, I'm beyond cooked. He takes out John and Asteroid with ease, and that causes me to restart. We reset our adventure and we're here where our problems first began, the Grass Totem. This fight ended up being cake since I kept Growl of all moves on Vinny, and after many echoed voices, we take out the totem and her help, winning us the fight deathless. I missed recording the Fire Totem, but since I realized he had a thick club earlier on, stealing it made the fight much easier. The Rock Trial went the same as last time. The Electric Totem fight was even easier with 4 teammates to the point where he struggled to death. Guzma went down basically the same, and we're back to Mimikyu. Asteroid is my lead for this fight. We use Baby Doll Eyes on turn 1 to bring this guy back to neutral, and we tank a Play Rough. That also activates my Cute Charm. Mimikyu calls in Banette, and I just do the same thing as we eat a Play Rough then our berry, as Banette misses Screech. I cripple Mimikyu some more as she just stays fully in love as Banette uses Curse. Sitting at half health, Asteroid has done more than enough, so I swap in Eevee, who takes a Play Rough and avoids a Will-O-Wisp. Thanks to Scrappy on Eevee, I'm able to break Mimikyu's disguise, and since the effects of Fake Out go through disguise, she flinches as well. Banette proceeds to miss another Will-O-Wisp. After tanking another Play Rough, we take out Banette with a Thief. We get brought down to half and heal back up with our Citrus Berry, and for some reason, I decided to go for a Brick Break that does 2 damage. I bring in Nintendo, who eats the attack, and then swap into Asteroid to take the Shadow Claw, which, funny enough, activates her Cute Charm again. I swap in Nintendo once more to eat another Play Rough and a Shadow Claw that doesn't crit, which lets us bring Mimikyu to half as she calls in Jellicent. I risk another Shadow Claw crit and absolutely obliterate the jellyfish. I swap between Vinny and Eevee and continue to use Fake Out, slowly chipping away at her, winning us the Ghost Totem battle. Even with 4 Pokemon, this battle felt like it wasn't the easiest, or maybe I'm just dumb. Probably the second option. Beating Mimikyu opened up 2 encounters for us. In the abandoned supermarket, in about 40 encounters, I find Hayden, the Mimikyu. Our second encounter on Route 17, Caribou the Bisharp. Guzma gets bodied since his team doesn't really change much other than the addition of Pinsir. Gladion randomly jumps me because he has a mental breakdown, an idiot. At the Aether Foundation, Guzma wants to scrap again, and this time he has 4 Pokemon. His usual lead, Golisopod versus Vinny. Now, for the sake of making him run out of sucker punches, I just use Work Up 5 times and get him deep into the red with a Leaf Blade. Emergency exit activates and in comes Pinsir. I swap in Asteroid on a Throat Chop, and after getting a buff a few times, we suck the life away with a Draining Kiss. And this pretty much happens to his entire team, leaving Golisopod to be taken out by Eevee, winning us the battle. The following alien lady scared me super bad after she started setting up with nasty plots, but she doesn't have any special moves, so thank God. Damn, Lily's mom. Honestly, she got clapped. Caribou took care of the Clefable with a few Metal Claws. Beware fell to a couple of Moonblasts. Lilligant, after hitting me with a Petal Dance, got down low from a Moonblast, and Vinny took care of her with a Spirit Shackle. Lopunny was eventually taken out by Eevee, and her final Pokemon, Milotic, has the worst luck ever. We switch in on a move that doesn't affect us, and she missed Hydro Pump 2 times in a row, allowing for Hayden to take her out with 3 Play Roughs, winning us the easiest battle we've had so far. On our way to the next trial, we get a Focus Sash from a Dancer Lady and begin our next trial against Como. I lead with Caribou holding the Focus Sash, and after using it, we steal his Rosella Berry, which reduces the damage of fairy moves. He calls in his ally Noivern, and I switch in Hayden and avoid both attacks. Noivern doesn't use Air Slash, so I got a free turn. I use Charm on Como. I switch in John on a Poison Jab Air Slash combo. I take the risk of Noivern not going for an attack, and she doesn't, allowing me to eat the Dragon Claw
and paralyze the Totem. I bring Asteroid, and he absolutely decimates the Como with the Moonblast. We finish the Wyvern with a couple of Draining Kisses, winning us the final Totem battle. Oh my god, Ultra Necrozma. This battle, as you know, is just a doozy since it's freaking 9 levels above the cat. I have a very simple plan for this fight, and it's damage control. Caribou is my lead for this fight and tanks a Dragon Pulse, just barely. And thanks to the TM Confide, we're able to lower Necrozma's special attack. I switch in Haydun on a Dragon Pulse, and here's just kind of a random chance. I want Necrozma to go for Smart Strike and not Photon Geyser, since Photon Geyser ignores your ability. I take the risk, and they go for a Smart Strike, thank goodness. I lower Necrozma's attack with Charm, and that pretty much guarantees that they won't go for Smart Strike on me, or at least I'm hoping. This is important because I begin to PP stall Photon Geysers by swapping between Haydun and Caribou, and after stalling all of the Photon Geysers and quite a few Dragon Pulses, Asteroid is on the field. I cripple its attack more with Baby Doll Eyes as a Smart Strike gets me to half, and then another to 35 HP as I set up a Light Screen. I send in Vinny on a Smart Strike that we eat no problem, and begin using Confide to lower his special attack. As our Light Screen wears off, I switch in Eevee, who takes some chip on the way in, and uses Bulldoze 4 times to get him super slow as well. I swap in John, who of course gets crit on the way in. Since we're so much faster, I set up a Light Screen as Power Gem does like 2 damage. I Confide again, but Necrozma unfortunately crits John, taking him out. John, you were here since the beginning, and it sucks to let you go after making it this far, but we'll win this fight for you. Asteroid takes his place. We're able to fire a barrage of Draining Kisses, one being a crit, and take him out, winning us the battle with thankfully only 1 death. At least the game blesses us the next battle against this little menace Rabombi. I lead with Caribou because we could always live a Bug Buzz, and then Caribou gave Rabombi the good old metal cranium and one-shot her with a crit. I was honestly just in awe after this. I figured I'd lose a few teammates to this fight, but no. We move on to our final Kahuna fight with Hapu, and with Vinny around, she was pretty straightforward. Against her Golurk, a couple of Leaf Blades take him out after only setting up Stealth Rocks. Mudsdale also goes down to a couple of Leaf Blades, but managed to make Vinny eat his berry. The dragon who needs a Mega, but Nintendo won't give it to him because they hate him, comes in, and I swap into Asteroid on a Dragon Breath. I eat the following Earth Power and set up a Light Screen. But Flygon must have felt me hating through the game because he proceeds to crit me, almost ending Asteroid's life. That was close. A Draining Kiss takes him to half, and another takes him out. Last is Gastrodon, and she isn't going to do anything to us, and since she's super allergic to a blade of grass, a single Leaf Blade takes her out, winning us the battle. Right before the Elite Four, our next hurdle is Emo Boy himself, Gladion. His lead, Crobat versus Caribou. And note, Caribou has been holding a Razor Claw this kind of whole time, increasing our critical hit chance. And immediately shows it after taking an Acrobatics and a Night Slash crits. We survive the next attack and take him out with 1 more. Next out is Lucario! I swap in Haydun and avoid the Aura Sphere. A Metal Claw then breaks our disguise, and we bring him to about a third with a Play Rough. Vinny comes in to eat the next Metal Claw, and 1 more before finally taking this thing out with the Leaf Blade. Silvally comes in and immediately bamboozles me. That's not him, but we swiftly take out Zoroark with a Brick Break. Now Silvally comes in. I should have known by the level difference, but it's okay. After some damage from the clanging scales, some swapping around, and Hail Chip, we finally take him out with the Bulldoze from Eevee. That move multi-attack was kind of a problem. It's time for the Elite Four, and this is our wonderful team of entertainers, ready to take on their final test. Mulane. He leads with his Klefki as I lead with K-Dog. We're able to avoid a Thunder Wave and use our favorite move this run to get a +1. K-Dog gets paralyzed the next turn and gets off 1 more workup. The following turn she eats the Flash Cannon and fires a Brick Break, doing a little over half. We easily eat the next Flash Cannon and heal back some damage with our Citrus Berry before ending the Keychain with another Brick Break. Next in is Metagross, so I swap in Caribou to avoid the incoming Zen Headbutt and send in Haydun on a Hammer Arm. The following turn, a Shadow Claw does about a third as he misses Meteor Mash. This is huge because it allows us to get another Shadow Claw off, avoid the damage from the next Meteor Mash, and finish him with 1 more. In comes his own Bisharp, so I switch into Caribou, who gets brought down to almost half with a crit Iron Head.
A Brick Break the next turn brings him deep into the red, as an X-Sister brings us super low as well, but we're better and are able to take on with a couple of Brick Breaks after the heal. The fabulous Doug Trio comes in, so I swap into Eevee and eat the Earthquake. I use Fake Out to get a bit of chip, then the next turn EQ brings Eevee to 30 HP, and a Bulldoze brings him deep into the yellow. I swap in Vinny, who takes the EQ very well, then the next turn, he hits a Fissure. What the f***? Vinny, I am so sorry that just happened to you. Rest in peace to our little starter owl. Hayden is able to finish off the Doug Trio, and in comes Magnezone. And I'm in a pickle, and it seems I need to sacrifice someone else. I, however, sent in someone way too fast without thinking, and Sylveon gets rocked by a flash cannon. I messed up big time. Now I can just hope that a light screen lets us survive. It doesn't, and I lose yet another Pokemon to the first Elite Four member. Thanks to the light screen, however, we're able to eat the attacks with K-Dog and take out the Magnezone, winning us the battle, and I'm in shambles. Acerola is next. She leads with her Banette as I send in Caribou. A Shadow Claw doesn't do very much damage as the Night Slash rips the toy to shreds. Next is the creatively named Pile of Sand. I switch in K-Dog, who takes almost half from the Earth Power. A crit Dragon Claw does practically nothing as they set up with an Iron Defense. A Clanging Scales gets her low as she brings us to just 4 HP before finally falling. Why was that Pile of Sand starting to concern me? Next in is Frostlass, who, upon me switching, misses Blizzard. She confuses Caribou, and she proceeds to punch herself in the head. Then after connecting with the Blizzard, a Night Slash easily takes her out. Delmise takes the field, and Caribou has done her job. I swap in Eevee on a crit Energy Ball, then a barrage of crunches takes out the anchor. Her last Pokemon is Drifblim, and she can't touch Eevee at all. Only problem is, this one has Aftermath, and we're able to swap in Haydun and take her out with a Shadow Claw, winning us the second Elite Four battle. Olivia. Please don't beat me too hard, mommy. She leads with Armaldo, and I send in Haydun. I weaken it with Charm as he uses a Rock Blast that thankfully only hits 2 times. Well, since they're just gonna use it again, a Charm weakens him even more, and we easily tank the incoming Rock Blast, and use Charm once more for good measure. And now that this Armaldo has Wet Pool Noodles for an attack stat, I swap in K-Dog, who is immune to the Rock Blast. I do reactivate my degen mode and gets a +4, but even then, this Armaldo survives a Brick Break. One more takes him out. Probopass is in next and survives the Brick Break thanks to his Sturdy and paralyzes us. The following turn she heals, but we're able to get her back down to 1 HP. She sets up a Sandstorm before finally going down. Lycanroc comes in and we're somehow faster and take him out in one shot. Her second Sturdy Pokemon takes the field. We don't quite get into Sturdy as he lowers our speed with a Bulldoze. Well, he's definitely now faster, so I swap in Eevee, take some damage, and am able to take him down. Last in is Cradilly, and I managed to get her to almost half before switching it to Caribou, who is able to take her out with 1 Iron Head, winning us the third Elite Four battle. Last on the chopping block is Kahili. Her lead Braviary versus Caribou. A Brave Bird brings us close to half as a Night Slash does about the same. Another Brave Bird brings us into berry range, and we get the bird super low. She of course is going to heal, so after she heals to full, a Rock Tomb gets an insanely lucky crit, allowing us to outspeed her and take her out with a Night Slash. Hawlucha is in next, and I can just feel this thing salivating, wanting to hit me with a Flying Press. So I switch in Haydun to avoid the damage. The following turn, I completely forgot about Mold Breaker and get brought down close to half by a Poison Jab. I also get poisoned. On a positive note, he's now pretty much useless thanks to a Charm. I go for Charm again, which was stupid since a turn after, we take him out with a single Play Rough. This feels really bad because I took way more damage than I even needed to. Again, I'm not really running calcs and I've never actually used a Mimikyu before, so my bad. I switch in Caribou and eat the incoming Brave Bird. Another Brave Bird brings her to 10 HP as an Iron Head does laughable damage. I send in Eevee to eat the next Brave Bird, bake her out, and get some decent damage with a Rock Tomb as she uses Flatter to confuse me. Thankfully, Eevee breaks through and is finally able to take out the Emo Bird. Next in is Toucannon, and I actually have the perfect switch for this one. I'm able to bring in Haydun and avoid the damage of the Z move. But since I'm an idiot and let Hawlucha do way too much damage to me, Haydun goes down to his poison damage. RIP Haydun. I sent in K-Dog, who has the ability Bulletproof, which protects the Pokemon from some ball and bomb moves, and all of Toucannon's moves fall in this category. allowing K-Dog to set up a few workups and take him out unscathed. And of course we get burned, because what else? Blastin is Oricorio, who uses Teeter Dance, but K-Dog is able to avoid hitting herself in the head and takes out the bird with the Rock Tomb, winning us the final Elite Four member, leaving us with only 3 Pokemon to take on the champion. This is going to be interesting. The champion how? And we beat him and his full team of 6 Pokemon with only our 3? Let's find out. He leads with his Raichu, Zaisen, and Eevee, and after flinching him with a Fake Out, the next turn he fires a Focus Blast, bringing Eevee to just 24 HP as she heals some with her Citrus Berry and fires off a Crunch, taking him out. Next in is Flareon, and I don't have any switch for this, and Eevee most certainly does not outspeed, so we go down to a Flare Blitz. I bring in K-Dog and am able to set up once with a Dragon Dance and a few workups as Flareon continues to lower my attack, but I'm not going physical. And a couple of echoed voices later, down goes the Flareon. In comes Primarina, who goes down to a boosted Echo Voice. And my heart is racing as Krabalm also goes down to an echoed voice. I go for another echoed voice and Noivern outspeeds. Damn, I thought with my plus speed nature and a Dragon Stance I'd be faster, but that was indeed wishful thinking. And Caribou, despite trying her best and taking down the Noivern, goes down to an EQ from a Bull, losing us the run. Look, this run, despite the loss, was still a lot of fun, and I already know of so many ways to not suck at this game because of this run specifically. I definitely messed up a lot towards the end, but live and learn. Despite this loss, if you enjoyed the video, it would be pretty rad if you left a like and subscribed, and until next time,